Alright guys, let's do something different today. No more roofs.
Alright, so I was asked to travel just a little bit to go take a look at I think a 2008 Fleetwood Expedition. And this is bought by a dealer on the other side of the country, and they asked me if I could go do an inspection on it. At least make sure that it's roadworthy and it'll get to the destination safely. And quite honestly, the opportunity was too good to pass up because this is a great place to be. So no roof replacement this time. We're gonna take a break from roofs, right? Just gonna head a few hours north of the Phoenix area, and I'm going to do this inspection. I may not take through the entire inspection with me, but we'll highlight anything that I do find, and I'll take you through a walkthrough at the end of it. But like I said, this is the place to be right now anyways. We're gonna go ahead and go to probably one of the most beautiful areas of the state of Arizona. We're heading north to Sedona, Arizona, a very, very enchanting place, and I was excited to have this opportunity to do that. It's a beautiful October sunrise. I do have other things to do this afternoon, so I have to do this inspection and then get back. So it's gonna not quite be as much fun as it should be, but it'll still be fun.
Alright guys, well we made it here. This should be the 2008 Fleetwood Expedition. That's what it says. I'm going to go ahead and start the inspection. First thing we're going to do is I'll just get all the coach information, the mileage, and the VIN number. And I may not have covered it. Generally on an inspection, before I'll even do too much other than look for the VIN number, verify it's the right vehicle that we're looking at, and the mileage on it, I'll do a quick once over, look for any physical damage, make sure that I'm not responsible for things. So I'll walk around, notate anything on my paper. Then I'm going to go ahead and start the inspection. All right. Go ahead and verify the mileage, 18,922. So with that done, my next big concerns are going to be, this is going to be heading across country, so the first things I do want to check is going to be the tires, make sure their tire pressure is good, but more importantly the age of the tires, because we don't want to make sure we don't have blowouts going down the road. Generally 5 years, you're okay. Usually the cutout's usually about 7 years, so if the date of the tires exceeding 7 years, it's a little bit sketchy to start driving on those. It's, RV tires don't get as much use as a normal passenger tire, so usually the worst thing for tires is not being used and not putting mileage on it. So it doesn't really matter if you put covers over them or get them off the ground to relieve pressure on the sidewalls. The actual mechanical heat and kneading nature of driving down the road is what keeps tires healthy. So once they start getting too old, it gets a little bit concerning. So let's go check the tires, and then we'll check the fluids, then I'll start the inspection. So I'm sure most of you guys know at this point. If you don't, we'll go ahead and look for it. DOT has mandated tire codes on tires. And it's only going to be on one side of the tire, which is frustrating. So you'd think that when they install tires, they'd put the tire code so you could see it. But there it is, it's a 4-digit code. This one says 3117. The first 2 digits is the week it was made. The last 2 digits is the year the tire was made. So 31 is the 31st week of 2017. Now it's important to check all the tires. The rear tires are going to be tag axles, so you should check the inside. You should still do a visual inspection, look for any separating, and make sure the sidewalls aren't cracking. So I'm just going to go ahead and start this inspection. Like I said, I'll let you guys know if I find anything before I get on the roof. I'll obviously do a roof inspection because apparently that's what we do on this channel. But before I do that, I'll run the slide out rooms out. That way I can get a pretty good inspection on everything else. Now I'm sure on something like this, there will be some issues of paint because this is a 2008 and it's 2021. So what, we got 13 years. And I think the buyer did understand that there was some clear coat damage on it, which is, like I said, was something I was going to be pretty confident we'd find. So that's not too uncommon to see. It's also a good idea to check for any actual checking in the sidewalls, and I think I do see it right there. It's going to be generally in the darker paints. So that's a bit unfortunate to see, but the rest of the sidewalls look pretty good. Alright, just check that. Engine oil. This guy
It's not uncommon to see tape on these surge tanks and the power steering reservoir, because these get exposed to a lot of sunlight through the door right there, and the sunlight will damage the plastic on those. So that's not uncommon to see that, but I just want to make sure that it isn't cracked or hiding anything. Okay, so the tanks look okay. We have good coolant, we have power steering fluid. Checked all of our fluids except for transmission because I had to start the engine, but I think we're ready to actually start this inspection. This has a Weather Pro awning on it. Those we'll try out too. Usually the biggest problem with those is going to be either the fabric is loose, damaged, or the motor's bad. And these boxed entry door awnings generally cause an issue once they get a little bit older. That weird looking guy right there, that was just a gutter to redirect water off the roof gutter there. It's pretty clever. Awning looks pretty good. Let's see, we'll try the entry door awning now. It's not uncommon for these things to hang up. Yeah, that strut's a little weak. All right, so I've done all the chassis inspections for roadworthiness, checked all the fluid levels, checked the tire pressure. Of course, there's no way to guarantee that there won't have issues driving down the road, but I did do all the safety checks to make sure that it's at least safe to drive down the road. We got it up to operating temperatures and everything was looking good. Now, I wouldn't call it a inspection hack. I've already checked to make sure shore power got inside, but I do like to run the generator because the generator, if you don't have an amp meter inside, you can actually hear when you put a load on. So it's always hard to test the water heater because how do you know if it's going to heat up if you already tested it out with propane? But usually water heater is going to pull about 11 amps and you'll hear that load actually apply on the generator. So it's a good little hack to have. And then the other thing on these Fleetwoods or any of these compartment doors that use these slam latches right there, or plunger style latches right here, you always want to inspect those because chances are pretty good at least one of them will be broken. These are pretty common to break on a Fleetwood and on a Monaco and on a Winnebago. I also like to check the basement exterior sides before I run the slide outs out because it's easier on my back and I don't tend to jam slide out fascias into my back or my head. All right, so that plunger latch is good, but if we look on this side, that one's missing. It's not there. So that's pretty common on these. It's so common that if we go back here, it's the battery compartment. You can see that latch is broken. And that one's still there. Very, very common. This is a little plastic plunger that that's all it does. So it's always good to inspect those. Usually at least one or two are bad. Now I will show you guys this. This is designed to open up right there. That's actually where the chassis fuses are going to be hidden behind. That's the Freightliner fuse box, and then Fleetwood adds those. And that's the keyless entry module. It's all labeled right there what everything's for. A lot of people don't know that that opens up. Our next step is put the slide outs out finally. Now again, on these Fleetwood slides with these tiny little switches, it's not uncommon for these switches to go bad. Usually you have to hit the button just right for it to open or work. Always make sure you can run slide outs out without hitting anything. I already inspected the back sides of these seals. They looked okay. We'll do the last slide back here. And of course, whenever I'm walking back and forth doing everything, I'm always still looking around for anything that's catching my eye, including always looking at the ceiling, make sure it's not falling down, or any signs of leaks or damage to the walls or cabinetry. That would be a telltale sign of something that might be interesting or going on. But with the slide outs out, now we can do our favorite thing and get on the roof and inspect it. We were testing out all functions. Looks pretty good. Now this should be a membrane roof, if I remember correctly, on a Fleetwood. So it's probably a TPO roof though. We'll find out.
Okay. Oh yeah, you can see that texture of the TPO right there. We already knew about the peeling paint, which is very, very common in the RV industry. And since this is a membrane roof, it's going to be using a Dicor self-leveling acrylic type sealant. I've already noted that the clearance lights are cracked. But let's go ahead and take a look at this roof real fast. Oh my goodness, that's just gorgeous. Enough of my commentary. I gotta inspect this roof. Okay, so this is gonna be an aftermarket solar panel. Don't really like these at all with this plastic frame because the plastic frame cracks, so I'll make a note of that. They also tend to cause leaks right at those little guys right there. But this rear cap, we'll step on it, and it looks fine. It's not loose. Looks like somebody's touched it up before. I don't see any damage to the membrane. This molding looks nice and tight. Little oozing from the butyl tape, that's going to be common. I wouldn't worry about that. And this doesn't have a cap seal on it. So again, not really worried about that. Again, you can see this is likely the original Dicor sealant that was put on from the factory 13 years ago. Even though it looks gross and cracked, there's nothing wrong with that. It's completely serviceable. There is a little bit of a crack right there, but nothing I'm really that worried about. That would just be a touch-up like somebody did over there. We'll just continue on. These are Fleetwood skylights. Again, I don't really like these. Tiffin and Fleetwood use a very similar plastic on their skylights. That does tend to crack a little bit more, so you want to make sure you inspect it. I can see it is cracked right there, the sealant. But the skylight seems intact, and walking around I don't see any issues. Let's see, looking at this roof radius, we're looking great there. Yeah, and even this right there, that's just butyl sealant that's oozing out, so that's a good thing. That's why you use butyl, because it's non-hardening and it stays flexible. In a lot of my videos I'll talk about these roof vent covers. They are good to have, so you can open them up in the rain for ventilation or even driving down the road. But the ones that bolt on like this, it's almost nobody's ever going to take those off ever again, and so you get stuff trapped underneath. But the good news is there's a big gap all the way around because somebody installed this one correctly, so I don't see any issues with that. And the sealant looked really good. If you look over here, your sewer vents, again, this sealant might look ugly, but that's serviceable. That's still serviceable. So everybody that says you have to touch up Dicor every 6 months, you don't. If it's put down right and properly maintained, it'll last. This is 13 years old. Look at the awning right here. Everything looks looking pretty good. I mean, in my perfect world, I would have added a big old bead of lap sealant just to protect any water getting under there, but there's nothing wrong with it. Let's do our first check on this AC. Oh, that AC is loose. Did you see that? So you guys should be able to see me moving that pretty easily. So we'll write that down. And then let's see. This slide out topper fabric. It might have some age on it. It's starting to crack a little bit right there, but it's still technically serviceable. Same with this other one on this main passenger front slide out. Looking pretty good. And even right here on the awning, that flexible joint, a lot of times that'll be loose or torn, so we're looking good there. Come back over to this side, we look at this vent. Not seeing anything wrong with it. Again, nice good clearance under there so we don't get anything trapped. Whoever installed that did a great job. Now this slide out topper, it's been fixed at least once there or twice there. I can see remnants of glue. If I come over here, I can also see remnants of glue, and it's also been repaired right here. So I'll notate down that it's at the end of its life. Okay, and then we'll check this AC, make sure it's not, oh, that one's loose too. Kind of expected that. In fact, I already wrote it down that it was loose, if that one was loose. This vent, again, I don't see any issues with that. This TV antenna, the coax is definitely sunburnt and should be replaced, but these are pretty obsolete anyways now. Okay, now the satellite dish,
It's obsolete too, but I don't see an issue with it. We can see all the peeling paint on the front cap, which we knew about, and that was just me testing the satellite dish apparently. I am missing a radio antenna and a CB antenna right there. And then these clearance light lenses are crazing or cracking, but I'm not sure that I'd recommend replacing them at this point. Last thing we'd need to do is walk the front cap, make sure it's not loose. Look over the sidewall, look for any damages there. And any damages on this side. That looks pretty good. You guys might notice right here that membrane is wrinkled. I'm not worried about that wrinkle. These RVs do twist quite a bit. I don't see any damage to it. That's why it's not something I would worry about, even a little bit. But there was the roof of this 2008 Fleetwood Expedition. We're looking pretty good. It's held up to the Arizona sun fantastically. And you know what? We should get another view of this because, come on. I mean, I'm from Arizona and I don't see this every day. Gorgeous. All right, so with that, I've already inspected the slide out seals to make sure they're good on the outside. We inspected the roof. Now I can just finish up this inspection on this Expedition on the inside. One thing that you should always be aware of on any used coach is the carbon monoxide detector and the CO detector should be replaced if they're over 5 years old. So this is a 2008. It's safe to say that nobody changed them out, but it's even easier for me to know because the manufacturer, CCI controls, no longer exist. They haven't existed since about 2008, so I know those are no longer good. So I'll recommend new LP and CO detectors, and even the smoke alarm right here, I'll recommend a new one. Now, it's not uncommon for microwaves to be loose when they're mounted from above, so it's always good to put your hand on it and jiggle and make sure that it's not loose and going to fall out. Fleetwoods, it's also not uncommon to see the countertops pull away from the sidewall, so you want to inspect for that, like you would around the entire countertop right there. Now, this wallpaper being loose everywhere, it's not uncommon to find on RVs. This isn't a sign of water damage, it's a sign of heat. This can be warmed up using a hairdryer and you can glue it back down, but this isn't pretty common. It's more common on Tiffin. Now, of course, not only is it important as an inspector to check your GFI polarity with your polarity tester, but make sure that your GFCIs work. And this one's supposed to be GFCI, and I'm pushing my test button and that's not tripping. But it's also important as an inspector to have a flashlight. On these drawers, you should be pulling them out so you can look behind. Make sure you're not seeing any rodents living in there or any signs of damage, water leak, mold growth, things you wouldn't want to see in a cabinet. Make sure the cabinets aren't falling apart too. So flashlight and your polarity tester is pretty important as an inspector. And of course, we're still going to do an LP leak test on it because this has a stove top that I can access to really easily. So just put my manometer on there. I turned off the propane. Now I'm going to bleed off the excess propane down to about 8 inches of water column right there. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see 8 inches of water column right below the 10 there. And we'll let that sit for about 3 to 10 minutes. 3 is all that requires. 10 minutes isn't bad. And so if this needle drops, that means we have a propane leak somewhere. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes and we're still at 8 inches of water column. So we don't have a leak. If it was a leak, we would have lost pressure. So that's good. It's kind of the most important part of this inspection. And having it recorded on video isn't a bad thing. It's important to check, make sure you have hot water and cold water from both faucets, and make sure that faucets themselves aren't loose, like maybe that one is. Now, another common problem, that's just the freshwater tank that's overfilling. But another common problem on Fleetwoods is this outside shower. What'll ever happen is if you ever have you don't ever have hot water to any of your faucets inside, you just have lukewarm water. Usually what happens is you left your outside shower on, and then this sprayer head, because it actually shuts itself off, Nothing's coming out, but because both those are left on, it's allowing the cold water and the hot water to mix. So always make sure you're turning these off. Always unfortunate when I'm called out for a service call for no hot water. I go out to the shower right there, turn it off, and then they have hot water again, and then they have to pay me to turn off a faucet. When it comes to the toilet, you should make sure that you can add water to the bowl, that it holds water, and then lean on to make sure it's not loose, and of course make sure everything else works. Look at the base of it, make sure there's no leaks over here. Other than that, looking okay because I already inspected under there for any leaks. So I'm just gonna run the washer through a quick cycle real fast, and then I'm almost done with this inspection here. I was just checking out the shower real fast, and the previous owner, or the current owner, did something pretty ingenious right there. They put a bar all the way across the skylight right there and turned the shower head instead of just hanging on the wall there, and almost a rainfall shower head. I like that. That's clever. Okay. Well, we pretty much wrapped up the inspection on this, but I will take you guys on a walkthrough through it real quick. Now this is still somebody else's property, so I'm not going to be molesting any of their things or taking you through anything that might be private. I just did an inspection for a dealer that's buying it on the other side of the country, so I won't be moving their stuff too much, but I will try to walk you through it so you can see what the floor plan looks like, because it's a pretty unique floor plan and I like it. And then also, I won't be showing you everything that I found wrong, because this was actually a pretty good coach for 2008. A lot of just ticky-tacky normal maintenance issues, nothing too serious. It's a nice motorhome. All right guys, so here you go. This is a 2008 Fleetwood Expedition 38F, so about 38 feet long. Now it has 3 slide outs, 2 ACs that are heat pumps. The driver's and passenger seats are in great shape. It has hydraulic leveling on it. It does have a 2,000 watt Magnum inverter. Your standard affair right in here. The cabinetry's in great shape. It does have a vinyl ceiling right here. And if we look down at the floor, it is just vinyl flooring here. And carpet throughout the rest of the motorhome. This one does have a dinette booth right here. This dinette booth has storage down below, and it does collapse down into a bed. So you have one bed right here. Behind the dinette, you do have another sofa. This sofa is a hide-a-bed, so that's also another bed. So that's 2 beds in the front. And this is the front driver's side slide out. If we look over into the galley slide out, because this is another slide out from that point to that point, you have the RV refrigerator. This is going to be your stove top right underneath there with a propane oven down below. Right above, convection oven microwave, stainless steel, dual stainless steel sinks, and right over here you have another sofa, and this one does not turn into a bed. Your main TV is actually located in this slide out right here, so this is a pretty unique floor plan. Nice thing about it is you get this great big huge living space with all sorts of walking around room, or you don't have to damage your neck. Watch TV from the sofa to that TV up there. Now the nice thing is this is actually a bath and a half, so you have one bathroom right up here with its own vanity sink. Now this is just a gravity toilet, which is nice. I like gravity toilets. And it does have a vanity cabinet and more storage right above. Now past the hallway there, you do have a pocket door that'll close off the bedroom and the back of the motorhome from the rest of the RV. This is going to be a queen size bed on the last slide out. So this is a 3rd slide out right in here. You can start and stop the generator down at this point, and it is a Sleep Number mattress. It does have storage underneath. Directly across from the bed, you have your dressers, solid surface countertop again, and of course the bedroom TV. I would probably upgrade this TV to a much bigger TV, but that's just me. And then this is going to be the rear bath. So this is 2008 with the rear bath, which is probably about the right time when they started. You have another set of pocket doors that will close off the bedroom from the rear bathroom. You have the vanity sink, and this is actually a ceramic sink. Right here is going to be a macerating toilet. So again, it's pretty common for a macerating toilet in the rear bathroom. Macerating toilets Gonna pump water in, and then it actually has a pump that pumps the sewage out to the black tank that's gonna be below the toilet in the mid bath. Of course, right above the toilet is gonna be your washer dryer combo unit. This has mirrored closet doors for the actual closet space in here. If we look past there, you'll have the corner shower, which is quite a large size shower, and I like the hack that he put together on the shower head. So I'm 6 foot. I'm climbing 6 foot. I might be 5'11" now. I don't know. But there's a small lip right here. You have to lift up over, and then I can just step through. So I do hit my head, and that hurt a little bit. But you duck down a little bit, and I have all the ample space in here now. So there is room for taller people. So there it was, guys. A 2008 Fleetwood Expedition diesel pusher. This is more of an entry-level unit, but I do love it. I like simple things, that's for sure. Now, I appreciate you guys going through this inspection with me. And we came all the way up to Sedona on a fun little road trip. To be honest, I'm going to try to get out to Sedona and do some sightseeing before I head back down to do some more work, because it's gorgeous up here. I might even come up here again, because it's October. The leaves are changing. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. And again, thanks for all the support on the channel. Bye.